This build has been a bit of a journey. Getting into FPV drones is easier than ever now, but making one that truly fits you still takes time. Here's how I built mine. Before starting any project, I like to list down some requirements to help narrow down the options. To begin with, I wanted to keep my setup as compact as possible. This included the goggles and the controllers with all the peripherals and such. I also wanted this drone to be capable of recording 4K at 60 FPS without attaching any external action camera. Next, I wanted something that could freestyle and fit through small gaps, while being stable enough for cinematic shots. And yes, keeping the cost reasonable was a priority. I was looking for a digital video transmission system. There are a lot of options on the market, and after a lot of research, I decided to go with Walksnail Goggles X, mainly because it has an HDMI input and output, which allows me to work with any video system in the future. I initially started searching for frames to build everything else around it, but I stumbled upon Sub250's Oasis Fly 30. There's an option to purchase this drone without a camera, so basically you'll be getting the frame, motors, and stack pre-installed. This is a cheaper alternative to purchasing the components individually, and you don't have to solder everything by yourself. I decided to go with the Walksnail Moonlight kit. This camera can record up to 4K at 60 FPS and has a wide field of view of 160 degrees. It also has stabilization and supports gyro flow for those cinematic shots. The VTX can go up to 1200 mW and supports an external SD card. For the GPS, I went with the Goku GM10 Pro V3 with a compass. This has become an affordable gold standard and provides exceptional accuracy. This would enable features like return to home and allows you to record telemetry like speed and altitude. I then got two 750 mAh 4S high voltage battery packs, which are a bit more punchy than normal packs and provide a decent 6 to 7 minute flight time on average. The flight controller is Sub250's Red Fox A3. It has an F7 MCU and 45 amp ESCs running BL-Heli32. It has 6 UARTs and a built-in barometer, which is definitely a plus. The motors are Sub250's 1404 4500 kBs. They should be plenty responsive and provide enough thrust for 3-inch freestyle. The drone came with a small 2.4 GHz ELRS receiver with a ceramic antenna. I plan on testing long range with this drone using lithium-ion batteries, so I needed something more powerful to work with. I recently got myself the Radiomaster Ranger Nano module for my pocket controller. This would provide all the range I need while keeping the setup compact. I decided to pair this module with the Radiomaster RP3 V2 Nano receiver with dual antennas, which are soldered onto the flight controller. I also soldered the GPS wires onto the flight controller and wrapped them with copper tape to minimize signal noise. I then installed the VTX and camera, which fit perfectly with rubber mounts that came with the drone. They provide enough dampening to negate any jello during flight. I then attached the VTX antennas and the GPS wires to get a rough idea of where everything goes. The 3D printed mount that came with the drone does not fit Walksnail's long antennas. I had to design a new model anyways for the GPS, so it wasn't a big deal. After countless iterations, I finally ended up with a design that seemed durable and functional enough. I printed this using PETG filament, which I should have definitely tried, but alas, here we are. The antennas and the GPS fit perfectly, and I mounted the print onto the frame. Before screwing in the top plate, I plugged in the battery to confirm that everything is working as intended. The drone came with 2 sets of 3-inch HQ props. Make sure to get a bunch of extra sets and treat them as disposables if you are just getting into FPV flying. This build is on the heavier side of the usual 3-inch drones. It comes in at 200 grams without battery. With battery, it comes in at 271 grams and 277 with optional 3D printed side panels. While the battery is charged, we need to figure out a way to connect the flight controller to the computer. This drone comes with a USB-C dongle to connect to a computer. The placement on the board is a bit odd and the connector needs to be guided in. I plugged the drone into my computer to set up on Betaflight. The drone comes pre-tuned, meaning I don't have to mess around with PIDs and all that complicated stuff. So I simply added my own rates which makes flying easier as the drone would then respond naturally and does not feel twitchy and linear. Then I set up my OSD to show information in my goggles while flying. Finally, I set up the GPS module and enable failsafe to return to home in case of connection loss. This drone performed better than I expected. There is minimal vibration in the footage and the drone stays stable against strong winds for its size. It can go up to 120 km per hour and cruises at 50 with a slight camera tilt. The GPS locks in 8 to 10 satellites within a couple minutes, and the return to home functionality keeps me at ease while flying over trees and at longer distances. There is slight prop wash when the quad descends rapidly, but that is expected. This is how the camera performs in low light. The latency is not noticeable, but there is significantly more noise in the footage. You can mess around with the camera settings, but this is how it comes out of the box. Overall, it's a fun drone to fly that can deliver exceptional footage for its size, and it fulfills all the requirements I had in mind when I was planning this build. I would highly recommend this setup to anyone getting into the FPV hobby. The parts list and links to the 3D files are in the description below. Let me know what you think.